Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Tim, for the kind introduction. What an exciting time, right? Media Days means we're one day closer to football. I'm excited to be here. First year in the conference. The American, what an unbelievable fit for Rice, for the future of where we're going as a program. And I'm excited to be here. And I thank Tim and their staff for putting such a great event on for us as a program, and for me, a first-year head coach in the league. Real quick, what a great 7 months it's been for our program. It's been full of really the people part of this. When I think about what the first 7 months, how do you surround the program with the right people in the building, the staff, your roster, and really proud of what we've been able to accomplish. Excited now to get going as we jump into August. And that's the quick skinny. I have some familiarity with the area, being Davidson, for those you don't know, or it's 15 miles north of here, right? So I've spent the last 7 years in the greater Charlotte area. So as I landed yesterday, I have a daughter that's still in the area, who's engaged and has a life here. So she met me at the hotel, so it was nice. So kind of felt like coming back home a little bit today. So excited to be here. I'm excited to answer your questions. And with that, I will open it up to you and what questions you have.
Thank you, Coach. Again, to ask a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. We have two. We'll start with Justin in the second row, and then we'll make our way around.
Coach, Justin Jones from CarolinaGridiron.com. I had the privilege of covering you at Davidson the entire time you were there. How much of that run-heavy, like just punch 'em offense are you looking to bring to Rice as you get here?
Well, I would tell you, the offense has grown at every stop of the way. I've been a head coach since I was 27 years old, and most jobs have found me because they're looking for a different identity offensively, right? Because they're not sure they can match up with the schedule, the conference, the district, whatever it may be. So through the years, it's grown. I'm excited to see how it'll grow here, but make no mistake about it. We're going to run the football, right? My programs have led the country at all levels in rushing. I'm something 10 of the last 15 years. And of the other 5 years, I think we were top 5 in somehow, some way. So we're going to run the rock creatively, right? We tag it gun choice because we're using so many different levels of option football now, right? You have your traditional option principles that we tag into, but there's also RPO now that we're utilizing inside the offense. There's also read zone concepts. And so for our roster, implementing that is really important, and making sure that we're ready to run all phases, I think, as we begin conference play for the first time, will be imperative. But for those of you that have seen the offense, it'll look eerily similar to what you've watched through the years, right? With little different approaches at time.
Staying on the right side, third row.
Brandon Pockers, the league winners. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Yeah.
So as of you're in your first year head coach at Rice, how has the process been for you so far? What have been some of the challenges? What have been some of the successes? And overall, what mentality have you implemented in the program since arriving?
Yeah, so I've said this a lot. The transition has gone incredibly better than maybe what one would think. When you're moving across country, you're jumping levels, right? So I don't hide from any of that, right? But with that said, right, we were able to maintain a good majority of the roster, right? That's where it starts, is with your people. So day one, I arrived and I met with every player on the roster, and our comments were, if you came here to win football games and win championships at Rice, we want you here, right? We weren't looking to flip a roster. I truly believe this. I think at Rice, we can't be about building a team from year to year. We got to build a program. So I didn't come here to build a team. I came to build a program. And with that means you really got to develop people. So that has gone incredibly great. Hired some great people in the building. I thought from day one, the energy has been really high. I don't think I've had, my 5th head job, I don't think I've had a program buy in as quick as our program at Rice has to our vision, where we're going, where we want to go. Now some of the challenges are the challenges that I think everyone's facing now. I don't think they were new because you took over a new job. It's new because of the landscape of the institutional support that's coming into college football. It's new because of how the game has changed, how the programs now have to adjust. So I think my challenges were really no different than anyone else's challenges, whether they had been at their institutions for 10 years or they were coming in a new program. And for us, it's been all about our we culture, right? I'm trying to get to every part of that question, and for us, our we culture is built on win everything, win everywhere, with everyone. And we installed that day one, that mentality into our guys. And that's really about how are we going to compete every day to be the best version of ourselves for everyone around us, including Rice football. And that's what we expect of our program, whether that's competing on the field or in the classroom or in the community. So proud of what we're doing right now. I think we've had a lot of growth in the 7 months, and now we're getting ready to find out as we head into August.
We'll stay to the right with Richard Walker. Then we have two over on the left. Go ahead, Richard.
Richard Walker, Carolina Sports Hub. Obviously, you come from a school with similar academic background. With the NIL era, was there any interest in trying to bring a bunch of Davidson guys with you, or how did that work out? Because obviously you're familiar with them and you had success there.
Yeah, no, to be honest, and that has nothing to do with my players at Davidson, Rice. As you transition schools, right, I think it's important to immediately, right, establish your roots there. And so that means establishing with the program there and the players there. And so we did that. And as we have looked to any changes that happen on the roster, we have looked right in the state of Texas, right? So we signed 22 high school players this year. 16 of them are from Texas, right? We brought some transfers in to fill in some holes and gaps, and some of them were high school players in Texas coming back home. And that is really the future of our program, right? We're located in one of the best football cities in the country, in the best football state in the country. And so we have to make a living in developing the talent that is really homegrown right there. And so I thought it was the best practice was, let's go right now, let's dive into who we're going to be for the future.
Coach, over here to the left, we have two questions.
Hey, Coach, Matthew Bartlett from the Roost. Coach Munkin was up here earlier talking about his iteration of the option. What's it like coming into a league that already has two option teams, and kind of how is yours a bit unique? Where do you draw inspiration from with your offense?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I would tell you for me, through the years, if there's another option-oriented program in the league is beneficial. Right, I think you're able to gain some knowledge, right, through the scouting process that way, and we are wildly unique when you look at the different systems. And I think now, all three programs, if you look at the teams who everyone in the league would consider have option based to their principles offensively, I think we're all three different, and how teams have to defend us is going to be different. So. What separates us is, we will work exclusively from a gun operation set. Exclusively. I don't hide from that, right? I'm that guy that didn't take a snap in the gun. I was under center for my first 15 years of my career, evolving to some read zone triple, allowed me to get more creative for our program. And now I get nervous if my quarterback has to go under center. Right, there'll be people that I'm sure in our stands will yell at me on Saturday, like when it's 4th and 1 and I'm still in the gun. That won't make sense to them. Well, they don't coach on Monday through Sunday in my program, so I don't really care if it makes sense to them. Right, what makes sense to me is what we do every day. And so I think that's going to be the biggest change that you will see between the three different programs. We'll work exclusively out of a gun, and the system that we employ, you'll see a lot of different programs using different parts of what we do. We just buy into all of it.
Staying here to the left with Hunter.
Hunter Bailey with the Charlotte Observer. Scott, curious, after spending time in the Carolinas for the past years, you get to come back. They play Charlotte. I think it's week 4. What will it be like, ESPN game, for you to come back to the Queen City?
Yeah, I don't know if that was by accident, just luck of the draw that the conference play starts with us coming to Charlotte. I think for me, it'll be simply about the game, right? The exciting part that we're opening up American Conference play. I think the outside noise, I'll leave to family and friends that are excited. They don't have to travel to Texas, right, to watch a game. Other than that, to me, the exciting part will be first conference game as we now begin American Conference play.
We have a couple more that we'll end with on the right. First, Justin, and then the row behind.
Coach, your success at Davidson kind of helped spearhead a new stadium on campus there. What are your thoughts about now going to a historic stadium like Rice Stadium, and your thoughts on the general facilities for the Rice program?
Well, I think we have facilities now that they fit our conference, right? We have an historic stadium, and there's always talk in today's football about where does money go, because the arms race of building facilities compared to now you have NIL, rev sharing, institutional support. So some of that I leave up to other people to figure out, right? I've spent the last 4 years raising money, helping build a stadium on a campus. So, there's a lot of talk always about what's the next step for our facility, like there are a lot of campuses. And, I'm excited for some of the talk going on. And, I think the historic part of our stadium will never go away or be changed. It's, any changes that the future has for us, it'll be how do we modernize what we have on campus to make it better for our scholar athletes, our alumni base, and our fan base.
Final question, third row from league winners.
Brandon Pockers of the league winners. In terms of leadership and guys on your roster, who has stood out to you in that category so far? And then as you head towards the regular season throughout fall camp, what are you hoping to see from your players in that category?
Well, the two guys I'm going to name are the two guys that joined me on this trip, right? Ty Morris and Micah Barnett. And I'll start with Ty, right? Yeah. And no one's asked defensive questions, which is fine. I get used to this over time, but I do want to take this moment and say, how excited I am about what we're doing on defense, right? And I think Ty's as good a player as is in our league. Ty's the guy that's going to play on Sunday, incredibly talented, and we return a good core nucleus on that side of the football. Our staff, John Kay, been promoted to D coordinator, has a similar history that I do, which is really comfortable for me. We were able to retain some really good players, keep them on campus. That's going to pay off for us, right? I'm excited about what our defense can bring to the program this year and the leadership that they'll provide for us. And guys like Micah on offense and Ty on defense collectively, what we need out of them is to drive the future forward in what we're trying to accomplish. And for us, we're trying to focus on one day at a time. How do we show up to compete each day for one another and do it together? Because that's how we think we can accomplish great things at Rice. So those are my expectations moving forward. We'll focus on one day at a time. Expect to compete, expect to win when we step on the field.
Thank you, Coach. That's all the time.
No, appreciate it. I do want to give a real quick comment to all our folks in Texas that have been devastated by the floods. I know everybody's seen it out there. Please continue to keep them in your prayers throughout the country. It's just been devastating on that side of the state. And we've had people in Houston that have been affected by it. Not necessarily the floods in Houston, there haven't been, but family members. So please keep them in your prayers. Thank you again. Go Owls.